They say April showers bring May flowers, so we're hoping that it's up from here. Let's not talk about the fact that I'm drinking a chai latte mere hours after I've consumed a Celsius. Wish me luck. We are going to get into the April wrap up, all the books that I read in April. I'm a little bit late. It's definitely the middle of May, but I wanted to share with you guys what I read in April, and they were just okay. It's like average April. We're hoping that it's up from here. But first things first, I do want to say that I started a Bookstagram this year, and I love the Bookstagram community. They've been so supportive, and I want you guys to follow me on my new Instagram Bookstagram page. I will leave the link here and below. Keep up with me there when it comes to all the book related things. Also, y'all, I'm turning 30 next month, and I indulgently want to buy 30 new books and then do an unboxing birthday haul with you guys. So if you can help me, if you want to help me, I'm also going to leave my Amazon book wish list down below. So if you're feeling a little gracious, feeling a little charitable, go ahead and check out my list and see if you want to send me a book for my birthday. It would be greatly appreciated. Let's go ahead and get into April's books. The first one I'm going to talk about is The Institute by Stephen King. I read this one on Audible. It is a horror, science fiction, and thriller book. Me and my husband have really been into Stephen King. We typically listen to a lot of his books when we're taking long drives or going on a major trip or anything like that, and so we have been killing Stephen King's books, and The Institute was a 5-star read for me. I really enjoyed this story. It was very captivating. I felt like it was very original, and it was very on brand with Stephen King, especially in vein with like Dr. Sleep. I could definitely see it adapted into a movie or series, only if Mike Flanagan does what he did with Dr. Sleep, because I love that movie, and I think if it looks anything like that, The Institute could be crazy on screen. The second one is also by Stephen King, Later. It is also a horror, kind of like a crime fiction and thriller, and it had an interesting concept to me, and that's why I rated it 3.5 stars, just because the concept was so good, but it just didn't deliver. The story had great potential, but the main character fell really flat for me. He had zero character development and really zero usefulness when it came to what he was able to do. And I don't want to give the story away, but I was just kind of disappointed, and especially the ending. It felt unfinished. It felt like he had wrote this before he wrote it, you know what I mean? And then it took off, was adapted, and all that stuff. So it felt like he just didn't finish the work. The next book I want to talk about, The Inheritance Games. So this has been raved about online, and I wanted to get into it. I was a little bit nervous because it is my first time kind of dipping into the YA genre, and I like it. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about YA yet, because I don't know if I truly like YA banter. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. It was a little struggle in some spots. It was a little slow and predictable. And I think that's the part that I struggle with YA banter. So I think this is a book that I would enjoy watching rather than reading. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. A lot of people compare this book to something like Knives Out, and I can see that, and I definitely can see that, but I also see a bit of Lock and Key without the keys. So that's why I think I would enjoy watching it, because I enjoyed that series, and I think it's giving a lot of that young kid vibes. We're finding things, we're doing a lot of mysterious things, and so that's why I say that. This book did leave me wanting to know more and wanting to find out answers, so that's why I rated it 4 stars, because it's not a bad book. So it's like 3.5, 4 stars for me. I'm actually reading the second one now, Hawthorne's Legacy, and it's been slow for me. I'm not even gonna lie. I've picked it up and put it down a couple of times, so hopefully we'll finish that in May. But yeah. The next one is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and this is a psychological thriller and mystery. I rated it 4 stars. It was an interesting story. I actually read this in the 24-hour reading challenge, and I told myself, hey, I'm gonna give myself 10 pages because I was already kind of tired, and by the 9th page I was locked in. So it's a quick read, and I appreciate that. And it was, I don't know, it was a little creepy and unnerving in the best way possible, in like a Verity way. And I like that feeling. I like the thriller genre, and I am stepping into it more because of that book. And also learned something while I was reading this. Did y'all know that Brad Pitt thought that he had this condition, this prosopagnosia? I hope I said that right. Prosopagnosia. I thought that was interesting. The next one is Anxious People by Frederick Backman. Y'all, this was my first Frederick Backman book, and I like his writing style. I like his banter. He's very witty and funny, and yeah, I just really enjoyed this. There were some slow spots for me because of all the characters that they introduced, and I didn't really like their character. Like, they were kind of like annoying, some of the people that he introduced, but the story itself was really like profound. It was such an unexpected story, but it was really relevant, and like the meta narrative was pretty powerful, and so I just appreciated a lot. There were certain parts where I didn't expect to like feel them so deeply, and so I like this book. I like the combination of wit, humor, insight, relevance. Like, he painted a good picture of life in this book, and I can relate. And so I really enjoyed this book. I rated it 4 out of 5. Okay, so this is where it gets a little interesting. We're driving into Colleen Hoover's neighborhood here. So the next one I read was November 9, and this had been on my list for a while. I wanted to read about it. A lot of people have had it on their top Colleen Hoover books. I liked it. I enjoyed the story. It's a very unrealistic premise that I didn't expect to be drawn into. But yeah, these two people, they meet on the same day every year and don't have any other contact any other day of the year, which is completely unrealistic. But somehow Colleen, even when you don't care for the story in the end, or it doesn't land the way you want to, Colleen knows how to write a story. She knows how to lead you through and make you want to finish the story through. So yeah, I finished it. I enjoyed it. It was different, and I was surprisingly attached to the situation. So just to see how things were going to pan out, I gave it a 3.5 or 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I don't feel like Colleen wasted any time with the story. Like, each chapter is just like almost a different year. She doesn't waste too much time in between. And I also love how she connected characters from Ugly Love into the story, and that was really cool for me. It was an easy read. I enjoyed it. Boom. The next one, not so much, y'all. Hopeless. And I also read this one in my 24-hour challenge, so you guys kind of already know how I feel about this. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it after this one. I don't feel like Colleen landed well on this one. It was a decent story, a bit cheesy. A lot of the times, like, I sped read through a lot of chapters just because it was just like, okay, yeah. And the ending was just okay. It was an interesting plot twist, but not really. It was just like, okay, how all that okay. And I do feel like a lot of time was wasted on this one as opposed to November 9. So yeah. And when I realized, so first of all, this book is already kind of thick. It didn't need to be this long. And then when I realized that it's a part of a series, I was just like, why are we drawing this out? You know, and I think that kind of knocked down the stars even more. So I think I rated this like maybe a 2.5. I'm graciously giving it a 3 now because I'm looking at the Maybe Someday series, or the Maybe Not. And I think I rated that like a 2 or 2.5. So it was better than that. So I'm going to graciously give it a 2.7. No, a 3, I guess. To each his own. Some people really love this story. I love certain parts of the story. So that's why I'm struggling with rating it. Next book is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Almost like Colleen, I'm committing to reading all of her books. It's 2 different timelines based on 2 different choices. That's really the premise of the story, and it has this cute story about how the stuff and the people and the experiences that you have in life all contribute to, you know, certain things in the end, no matter what. And it's really just kind of like a fate focused kind of story. So if you're big on fate, destiny, the cuteness of that, then you might enjoy this book. It was a bit slow to me and a little bit boring in a lot of spots. I rated this one a 3.5 just because it was a bit slow and boring, and the payout, it was just okay. The next one is Joyland, which is also by Stephen King. It's a horror, crime fiction, and thriller book. I don't know, I like the story. It took way too long to get into the heart of it, to be honest. And if you know anything about Stephen King, he will write a long behind book, and this one was no different. It was long. We listened to it again on another road trip, but it was just long, and I just remember listening to it for hours before getting into it, and it wasn't until the very end of the story that it was wrapping up that it was getting good. It was a fun story, it just took too long to unfold. The ending was really good, but with the way Stephen King's volume, like the length of Stephen King's books, like the return on investment just wasn't there, and for that reason I think I rated it a 3.5. The next one is Black Girls Must Be Magic by Jane Allen. This is the second book in a trilogy. There's really not much to be said about this. It's a simple story, and if you read the first book and get connected to the characters, then you'll enjoy this book, and I enjoyed it. I did speed read through some portions that I felt were a little redundant and unnecessary because they just weren't interesting parts of her life. But yeah, I will definitely be reading the 3rd installment to the series, and yeah, it's a cute story. And the last one is The Method by James Patterson. It is an Audible original that I listened to really while I was cleaning the house. It is a crime fiction thriller, and I thought it was really interesting. It was kind of like a refreshing listen. It was very enticing, very engaging, just really captivating. I enjoyed the story. It's about method acting and the main character, how that kind of manifested through his life and career and how that pans out. So those are my reads for April. Pretty average, a lot of 3s and 4s. Really only 1 5-star read for me. If you guys would be interested in seeing a May TBR video, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me for another booktube video. Definitely follow my bookstagram so we can hang out a little further over there. And I'm excited for my birthday next month to share with you what I end up buying and reading. Thanks again for rocking with Rocky, and I will see you guys in my next video.